Next on the list, Phillip Blaskovieh.
How are you, folks? I am, by trade, a chemist. I have been a chemist for 30 years. Currently, I am the Chief Hygiene Safety Officer for a Fortune 500 company. I worked in Woburn over a Superfund site for 22 years with a company known as Biotech, which has since closed due to the president of the company developing 2 different cancers, and I myself suffering from polyneuropathy attributed to exposure. Many of you may have seen the movie Civil Action, which took that into account as to 3 companies that disposed of toxic waste: W.R. Grace, Beatrice Foods, and Uniform First Corporation. I was asked by a few people who are opposing this senior center, and while I support the seniors, I don't believe that putting it over a potential toxic waste site, especially located in a floodplain, would be quite what is needed here. One of the components that really bothered me about the testing that was done on the site was that when they presented to me some pictures here of some of the wells, according to DEP, these wells are supposed to be locked first and capped. The reason being is when they take a sample, they unlock it, they then take the immediate concentration of the vapors at the top of the cap. Clearly, if there's no cap, you don't get a true reading of the concentration of the vapors that exist there. You're supposed to measure that against the ambient. So if there's no cap, the ambient, and obviously what's coming out of the pipe, going to be pretty close to the same. Second problem I have, it says that they took estimates of what the depth was. According to DEP, it says, no depth of the well was made without that the dimensions of volumes cannot be calculated, and without the volume, one cannot measure the concentration of anything, let alone contamination. I can submit copies of what the DEP's rules are. It is the Department of Environmental Protection's standard reference on monitoring wells. So I personally found the questionable checking the well for proper identification and location. By GEC's own report, they stated that they could not identify one well. Another well was re-identified. That certainly violates number 1. Number 3, it says, after unlocking the well and removing caps, measure and record ambient and well-mouth organic vapor levels. Clearly, this could not be done if there was no cap and no lock on top of it. And then number 5, measure from the top of the well casing to the static water level to the nearest accuracy of 1/100th of a foot, then measure and record to a depth the bottom of the well. Clearly, if anybody's learned volume, you need height times depth times width. Not having that known, no one can state unequivocally what the concentration of what contaminant is there. So we don't have a quantitative amount, we have a qualitative one. I will speak to some of those compounds. Vinyl chloride, known carcinogen. It's been there. Its actual levels have gone up. Another compound that is there that has gone up is cis-1,2-dichloroethane. That's going up because the concentration of the 1,1,1-trichloroethane is going down. And I don't mean to give you an organic chemistry course, but they talk about a bioremediation. Well, unfortunately, sometimes some of the compounds that are breaking down actually cause more toxic compounds. So I understand children shouldn't be exposed, but let's face it, many of our seniors, and I work for a healthcare company now, I'm a bioresearch chemist, as I stated earlier. Most elderly people do have issues regarding their liver, cholesterol, probably hypolipidemia, and hyperlipidemia is one of the problems. And organic compounds will attack the liver. And finally, I'll leave it with this. With the question of a vapor barrier, to date, there exists no vapor barrier that will guarantee no permeation of volatile organic compounds. If they use a 10 mil polyethylene, it will release slowly up until a time that that becomes saturated with those vapors, and then asymptotically, or if you will, think of a hockey stick, it will go and take a sharper angle of release. If you put down asphalt, all petroleum-based products, as you may see when a gas tank leaks, eats away at asphalt. So there's really nothing they can cap that with. So for GZA to say unequivocally, well, I'm not going to question his credentials, but I'll tell you what, I'm certainly not going to put my parents there, okay? And if anybody wants to question my credentials, please feel free to Google my name. Thank you very much.